Hey guys, Fletch the Football Observer here, and today's Fletch Talks video is going to centre around the big breaking news story that occurred this morning, and it is regarding the status of manager Unai Emery at Arsenal. And the news is that he has been sacked from his position as manager. The announcement was made earlier this morning that Unai Emery will not be taking charge of any more Arsenal games. He has been sacked. And to be honest, I think the writing was sort of on the wall for Emery. Of course, the news breaks not even 24 hours after Arsenal's 2-1 defeat to Eintracht Frankfurt in the Europa League. The writing for a while now has seemingly been on the wall. You only had to look at the performances on the pitch, the fans' reactions to everything that has occurred at Arsenal, not just in the past few months, but I think even beginning towards the end of last season. Everything was just seemingly going wrong for them, and the fans obviously saw that. And you have to look at AFTV, for example, as a place where you can gauge the genuine fan reaction of everything that was going wrong here. It would just seem like an inevitable thing, and it just seemed a question of when that was going to happen, not if it was going to happen. The only surprise for me personally is that I honestly believe that Arsenal aren't really a sacking club. They were really reluctant to sack Arsene Wenger, and I genuinely believe that Unai Emery would have been given till the end of the season to have possibly got things back on track there. And if not, they go again next season under a different manager, because I believe that Emery only had a 2-year contract and that was going to be up this summer. So I am a little bit surprised there, and then I think about it and think, well, the only reason why Wenger was given time towards the end of his tenure as manager was because he was a legend at the club. Emery, not a legend. Yes, sure, they had some good performances, but he didn't win them anything. So I guess I can see both sides of that particular argument. So what was Emery's downfall? Well, he had a yo-yo of a season last year. You know, it was his first season in charge, and I guess many people were trying to give him the benefit of the doubt there. He had a bit of a yo-yo of a season, some good performances mixing with some really bad ones. They eventually missed out on top 4 despite being in a good position to make it in the end. You know, you'd think about that 4-horse race for 2 of the top 4 spots between Chelsea, Tottenham, Man United and Arsenal. Arsenal, towards the end of that campaign, had the better chance of all 4 to make it. They had the favourable games, shall we say, with all due respect. They also were left in a good position following their previous set of results. But then they went on this really disappointing run where they couldn't really string together a few consistent performances and a few consistent victories. Ended up missing out on top 4 by a point. Chelsea and Tottenham obviously took them final 2 top 4 spots. And, you know, to make it even worse for them, they had another opportunity to qualify for this season's Champions League and the Europa League, and obviously they didn't turn up in Baku for the Europa League final. And, you know, even worse was that Chelsea, okay, a title, a trophy was on the line, but Chelsea had already qualified for Champions League, so there was more of an incentive for Arsenal to go on to win that. They didn't even turn up. They lost it pretty humiliatingly and ended up without a trophy or Champions League football for this current season. You fast forward into the summer, the board had begun to make some changes to the backroom staff. They began to make some changes to the way the club is run. They'd given Emery money. They gave him the money to sign Nicolas Pepe, who many fans were excited about. They managed to give him money to sign a centre-back. Okay, maybe it wasn't the centre-back that everyone was hoping for in David Luiz. Maybe he wasn't the guy that many Arsenal fans were excited about or wanting, but I think as the perfect stopgap defender, I don't think you can really go wrong with him. And I guess people were like, well, he's not what we want. going forward, we'll get a better replacement somewhere down the line. And many people have started to change their opinions on the Arsenal board. Many people have thought this was going to be a time where the Arsenal board were going to change their opinion of them. And again, towards the end of Unai Emery's reign as manager, many people were actually thinking that this is actually turning against them again, because they're not acting, they're not doing anything about Emery. They were going to miss out on they're probably going to miss out on a top 6 finish, regardless of a top 4 finish. And it was going to cost the club a lot of money. Arsenal fans were not happy. They were like, well, if we continue like this, we're not going to get into top 6 or top 4. We're going to miss out on European football, whatever that it may be. Okay, Europa League isn't that great. We've been there for a couple of seasons, but at the end of the day, like, it's still European football. It's still another chance of silverware, regardless of what you think, and it's also going to be another gateway into the following season's Champions League, should that arise. Now, apparently, what's followed up in the aftermath of this is that the board have now made contact with Max Allegri, apparently. Max Allegri, of course, is the former Juventus manager. He's allegedly been contacted about taking over as manager of Arsenal Football Club. And again, going just from the board and the fans' reaction to the board, this is a guy that many fans have been calling for a while. Max Allegri is obviously a guy who has won a lot with Juventus. He's a guy that is a well-known, respected figure in Italy in particular. He's had a lot of success with that club. He's transformed that club into a strong club in Italy, a consistent club in Italy. And again, I think with that announcement, if they do manage to get Allegri, if Allegri does turn around and go, you know what, I do fancy taking the reins as Arsenal manager, then I think that, again, the board have ticked another box for the majority of Arsenal fans, because he's a top quality manager in my opinion. Does he suit Arsenal? I think that's another debate that I will go into a little later. And I think it would just be one of them things where the Arsenal fans will turn around and go, you know what, the board, they made a very good decision there. And I think especially when you consider that last week Tottenham got rid of their manager and replaced him with Jose Mourinho, I genuinely believe that they looked at that and went, alright, we may have missed out on Mourinho there, but we're going to do the same. We're just going to have to give it time until we've identified a proper replacement. Allegri seems to be that replacement, that initial replacement, and now it's just a question of whether they can get the deal over the line to get him in. Obviously, I don't think it will, by this busy winter period. So that's just basically what I think about the Allegri thing in general. What I think about Allegri personally as a manager, well, of course, he's been out of the game since the end of last season. He left Juventus and said he was going to take a season out, but of course, when a big job comes, it may make you change your mind. And regardless of what you think about Arsenal right now, about their status in the Premier League, they are a big club. They are still a big club. Big job to take, big responsibility. Of course, he's been linked with a lot of other jobs since then, as you'd expect for a fairly good manager. My issue is that I think he's fairly defensive-minded. I think his success in the Champions League and league performances displayed how defensive-minded he is. It won't be too much of a problem for Arsenal. They've had defensive issues for many, many years now, and maybe he could get them to being a very good defensive outfit. And then when you look at the attacking talent on display for Arsenal, maybe he could kind of work that into it. So maybe it's not a completely terrible idea for a defensive-minded coach with a lot of success behind him and under his belt to sort of come into this club. And with that history, with that tactics and playing style, it may not be very Arsenal-like, but I'd probably say it's maybe the right choice under the circumstances, and especially when you consider the other names to be considered Eddie Howe, Rafa Benitez, Nuno Espirito Santo, and then novices like Mikel Arteta and Freddie Ljungberg, it's the perfect choice. And I think going along with how in previous years the longevity of Arsene Wenger's reign has sort of continued over time, and they ended up missing out on the likes of Jurgen Klopp, on the likes of Pep Guardiola. I don't think the Arsenal board wanted to make a third sort of mistake in that kind of area by missing out on Allegri, because let's face it, Allegri could easily have gone to Bayern Munich. He could have easily gone to many other top clubs that are considering their management options right now. So I guess they just didn't want to miss out on this manager, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans will be happy. Even Mauricio Pochettino, a push is still out there. I don't think he'd go because of obviously the Tottenham-Arsenal sort of connection, rivalry. I don't think he'd go, so I think that one was probably crossed off. But so the other alternative as world-class manager leaves Allegri, and I think that's what the Arsenal board have identified and what they're going to be going with. So we wait and see on that score. But yes, going back to the main bulk of this story, Arsenal have sacked Unai Emery as their manager not even 24 hours after the Eintracht Frankfurt defeat last night. And that pretty much wraps it up. And obviously when Arsenal make the announcement, I will try and be quick about putting it on this channel. But I want to know what you think. This is obviously just one man's thoughts and one man's opinions on this particular topic. So I want to know what you think. Do you think it was right for Unai Emery to be sacked? Do you think Max Allegri would make a good manager, as he's the initial frontrunner it seems? Or if not, who would you like to see as Arsenal manager? And now, what does the season hold in store for Arsenal Football Club? Leave your thoughts, comments and predictions and opinions and whatever else down below in the comment section. I'd love to read them all at some point. Thank you all for watching and listening. Hit that like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things would be greatly appreciated. I've been Fletch, the Football Observer. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video.